Well, it's your first time in America, and you're here at the MLG studio in New York. So how does it feel to be in New York City, not just America?
It feels great. It's a really nice town, and I haven't really been able to experience the whole of it yet, but I hope that I will.
First impressions.
It's a big city. I've been to Shanghai, so I've experienced a big city before, but it's a really nice town.
What about first impressions of coming to America as a whole?
Well, I've basically only been to the airport and then in the Team Liquid house, so I haven't really been able to experience America yet.
Well, in a few weeks, you'll be going to MLG Columbus. This will not only be your first MLG, but it'll be your first major event in America as well. So what are your thoughts coming in?
I'm pretty excited about the tournament. I think that I have a decent chance at placing good, but it will depend really much about what kind of bracket I get. If I get many good players or bad players, it will obviously make it harder.
So you're in the same position as NaNiwa was in Dallas, where this is going to be your first event. You don't have any points going in, so you're going to have to start through the open bracket. He went 28-2 and won the whole thing. What do you think about your chances?
I'm gonna go 28-1.
Do you think you could do that?
It's definitely possible. As I said, it really depends on the bracket. I know that I can beat basically every player, but I can also lose to a lot of players.
It seems like you've been playing your best ever StarCraft, and I remember watching you work Warcraft 3. This might be the best I've ever seen you in shape right now. How do you feel?
I feel in really good shape. Ever since I qualified for the TSL, I've been really motivated to practice a lot and been playing like twice as much as I used to do. So it has really paid off.
Do you attest this just to your practice and work ethic, or has something clicked recently that has made this jump?
I don't think that anything has clicked really. I think one of the reasons why people didn't know of me was because that I didn't really play any tournaments before the TSL qualifier. In 2010, I felt that I was too bad, and I made a promise that in 2011 I would play a lot of more tournaments. But then I qualified for the TSL quite early, so I wanted one of my advantages to be that other players couldn't find much material on me. So I tried to keep low until the tournament was over.
Since your qualification, you went through a ton of Koreans, some of the hardest Koreans in the TSL bracket. You've been playing really well lately. What do you attribute the recent success to be?
Just really good preparation. I've prepared a lot of new builds and just a good mindset about preparing, I guess, and the discipline.
Now, do you think you're going to be able to be okay going through an open bracket where you have to play match to match and match and match? You don't have a lot of time to prepare between each match, each opponent, each race. How do you think can you handle that type of environment?
Yeah, well, it's not like I can't play if I'm not prepared, but I think I need to work my play to be a little bit more safer to all-ins, because I guess that will happen a lot in an open bracket.
So you're mostly worried about an all-in builds than an overall you having to play 3 different races concurrently.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about a big macro game against players that would be better than me, because there's a big chance that I will only play bad players. I can play some good players as well, but I don't really know how the system works and how many players there are.
So macro games are going to help you throughout the whole tournament, you feel?
Yeah, I really like the more games and the longer they are, I feel the more comfortable most of the times.
Now, are you going to enter in maybe an Idris syndrome where he also really prefers going macro games, but then every other game people know this and they end up doing these all-in builds more? So do you feel that you might be vulnerable?
Well, most of my builds are made just so that they're macro enough to go into the long game, but they're still safe enough to sustain, be able to defend a lot of all-ins. But I know the importance of changing your playstyle a bit, so that people can't expect you to play the same game every time.
And this is going to be your first event with Mouseforce. You recently just signed with them a few days ago from Praetoriani. How does it feel to be while they were a good team, also in Warcraft 3, this is one of the major esport pro gaming teams that have been around since pretty much the beginning of competitive gaming. So how does it feel to be a part of the team?
It feels really great. Ever since I was a Warcraft 3 player, I really wanted to be a part of one of the big teams, and now I am. So I hope that I will do some really good results and make them proud.
Now, besides the TSL3 Finals, which will be this weekend, Columbus is going to be your first major event representing mouse sports. Do you feel pressure going into this event now that you're representing this major team?
Actually, I don't feel any more pressure now than from Pretoriani. There still was some pressure in Pretoriani, but I think I'm pretty good at handling it. Sometimes I even think that pressure makes me play better.
Is there any extra pressure because now you're coming to America and you're having to play Americans? Is there any pressure there?
Not really. I've been playing a lot on the American ladder, so I know what kind of players I will be up against.
Are you not really that afraid of any of the Americans?
Yeah, well, there's some Americans who are really good, like, for example, Idra, and some Canadians, Hak Kivikaki, and yeah, there's a lot of good American players, but I don't think that they would play much different from the European players, so I don't fear anything special in their play style.
Now, I asked NaNiwa this also, but you're another ex-Warcraft 3 player, also from the European scene. I asked him what he thought attributed to all this recent success would be with the Warcraft 3 players. What do you think?
I think in the beginning of StarCraft 2, the Brood War players had the upper hand because they came from a more similar game. But as time progressed, more Warcraft players was able to show some really good results. And I think that's because basically the pro gamers from Warcraft 3 outnumbered the Brood War players by 3-1 or so. So there was bound to be a lot of more Warcraft players than StarCraft players now.
So you actually think it's just a numbers thing? There's just more of them?
I don't see any reason why Warcraft players would be better than StarCraft players, to be honest.
So you don't attribute it to maybe what NaNiwa was saying, there was a major LAN scene and international scene with Warcraft 3 that Brood War didn't really have? I
guess it could have been some of the reason why Warcraft players are doing well nowadays, but I don't think it's an important reason at all.
Now, along with the Warcraft 3 players, also as NaNiwa, Sweden, your home country, has been dominating the scene for the past few months, it seems, even since the beginning of StarCraft 2. What do you attribute it to?
Basically, I have really no idea. I guess, yeah, there's a lot of speculations about Sweden getting really early home PCs, but there's a lot of countries that had that as well, and good internet, but that doesn't make Sweden anything special, and long winters, but I don't know. There's not really many people in Sweden, so I don't really understand.
I mean, is there any type of LAN culture that you guys all practice with? Is there any, do you think it is the community aspect that esports is big in Sweden?
I don't know, maybe it's DreamHack has helped quite a bit, because they've always had esport tournaments and a lot of money since really a long time.
So going into Columbus, what is your biggest fear and what player would you be worried about the most?
I think one of the players like NaNiwa, maybe Select as well, Idra of course. I don't know, I'm capable of beating most of them, but of course there's some who are regarded better than the others, and I don't really know anyone special.
NaNiwa seemed pretty confident that he was going to win Columbus, so what do you think?
He definitely has a good chance. I mean, he's probably the best Protoss player outside of Korea right now. So, yeah, good luck to him.
Well, I actually meant for you.
Oh.
Do you think that you can win? Do you think you have the skill set right now to take the whole thing?
Yeah, it's possible. But it's really hard though. I mean, there's still a chance, but it's not too likely.
Do you think that any of the patch changes, specifically Protoss and some of the Archon changes, will have any effect on your TVP?
I think that the Thor change will make it really hard to play my Thor build, which I've been playing against MC and Tyler. It's a really good strat, but I don't think that it was overpowered, so that Blizzard needed to nerf it. But now I don't know how it will fare against just temper play. And the 4-gate thing, as NaNiwa said, it's still a doable strategy. I don't think that too much will change.
Do you think the patch will affect your TVT and TVZ?
No, not at all.
So you expect to have your standard builds going into the next events?
Yeah, basically.